All right, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Good morning. For me, it's morning. So today we're going to be talking about creative problem solving. And have you ever been stuck with a problem you're working on and you're looking at it so closely for so long and you're just so stuck, but you you really can't break through. You've looked at this time and time again. Well, for many of my students, this has happened time and time again. For me, it's happened time and time again. Good evening, Clara. I hope you're doing well. And this has happened for me time and time again, right? Um, I think it's happened for all of us. So what we're going to talk about is how to use a system today to solve problems, and it doesn't matter what kinds of problems. These problems could be academic problems, like you're sitting with a coding problem or something, or it could be that you are working on, maybe it's a life problem. Maybe you have some life situation that's coming up, and you're looking for ways to solve that. We're going to go through a method today of how to do that, and that actually, guys, is really usable. Right, today you can start using this method today. Okay, it's not something that's so pie in the sky, like super theoretical. It's something that you can start using today. So it is called the scamper method. Now, before we understand what the scamper method is, this is a method that is used in, this is SC, for those of you who cannot see my slides, SCAMPER, right? That's what it is. And a lot of companies actually use this method. I think it was like KitKat used this method. Hey, Nikhil, I'm great. How are you? Good morning. So KitKat used this method. McDonald's used this method. A lot of Fortune 500 companies use this method, the scamper method. And I'm going to go through what this stands for, but it's easy to remember, right? So whenever you're running into a problem in the future, just think, oh, scamper. Okay, what does each one stand for? And the scamper method, as we're going through this, I want you guys to think about your own situation. What is a problem that you're working on right now? What is a problem that you're facing right now that you need a little bit of help with? And if you want, I can troubleshoot live with you. If you want to do this with me and learn with me, feel free to post whatever you're going through in the chat. Like, what is a problem you're working on? What is a problem you're facing? And I'll actually show you, we'll go through the scamper method to think of, ways together to overcome that problem, right? So the first letter of scamper, of course, is S. So S stands for substitute. So let's say you have this problem, okay? And a lot of people have this problem. I'm too busy for exercise, right? Well, actually, that's too small. No, I think you can all see that now. For those of you who are on my TikTok live, I am also streaming on YouTube live as well. So I have my slides on there if you want to join me there. Same handle. But here, the problem is, let's say you're struggling to find a time for working out. Okay, this is just an example. It could be anything. It could be you're struggling to, I don't know, right? This is just one example. Think of your own example. But you're struggling to find time to work out. I know a lot of people struggle with that. So put a 1 in the chat if you struggle with that, or let me know if you struggle with that. So one solution, and again, it's not going to be the solution for everyone, but one example of a solution for S, for substitute, would be, let's say, to substitute your regular commute with biking or walking to work. Now, of course, that's not realistic for everybody. I mean, let's say you live like, 40 miles from work. You can't bike to work every morning, but it's one example, right? How could you integrate it into something you're already doing, or substitute it out for something you're doing, right? In this case, it would be driving. It would be the substitution for driving. And maybe even, let's say, save gas, right? And all of that good stuff. So this is one example of substitution. Now, I have a question for all of you. then is, how do you integrate this in your own life? I would love to hear how you can substitute something like this in your own life. Where are you struggling? Where are you struggling, let's say, with time management, or solving some issue, and you can substitute something that you're doing, or leverage by doing two things at the same time that don't interfere with each other, and make it work. So let me know what you think, or let me know what you're struggling with. Maybe we can workshop it together. The next part is C, which is combine. So combine, let's say you're struggling to, let's say you work from home, right? And you're struggling to stay focused while working from home. Well, combine, this makes us take a look at our whole process, and everything is a process. Working from home, just existing, going through your day, it's a process. So we can analyze it as a process and think, okay, well, my challenge is staying focused while working from home. How can I combine some things? Now, this might seem very similar to substitution, but substitution is change something out, right? Instead of drive, you exercise, right? You bike to work or something. But how can you think of, for instance, combining two things in your schedule, doing them at the same time, right? Or something that you don't normally do, combine it with something that you do to make it a little bit more effective. So for instance, okay, let's just take this example. And you guys can give me your own examples, but you find it challenging to stay focused while working from home. Who else does? Combine the work tasks with environmental changes. So for instance, what can you change in your environment? Can you, let's say, if you keep getting distracted, does listening to ambient music in the background, does that work to stay focused? I will tell you guys straight up, it's so funny. A lot of people say like music helps them focus while they're working on something. It's the exact opposite for me. If I have something playing in the background, I'm so distracted. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I feel absolutely distracted if I'm trying to work on something and there's music in the background. But, actually research has shown that playing ambient music or different types of music can make people more productive. It's just, I guess I'm the exception. So use it on yourself if this is, for instance, a challenge for you, and you can try it out and see if it works for you. So think about that. In fact, playing music has been shown in multiple studies that playing things like Mozart and classical music can actually make you more productive while you're studying. Again, doesn't work for me. It's funny. A lot of these productivity techniques, you got to test them out for yourself, because the Pomodoro technique. People talk about anybody ever heard of the Pomodoro technique? You work and then you take a quick break. You work a little bit, then you take a quick break. That does not work for me. I've actually tried it on myself. It doesn't work for me. I get too, I'm almost compulsive about working. If I'm working on a task, for instance, like writing a YouTube script, like writing scripts for my YouTube videos, right? Or outlining it. I actually literally, I can't, and maybe it's something I need to work on personally, but I can't stop working on it until it's done. Like, I do give myself a window of time, and I always think to myself, I'll never get it done in that time frame. But somehow it always gets done in that time frame, and I have to do it in one solid block of time. I can't take breaks. I don't know if you guys, how are you guys? Do you guys benefit from taking breaks? In between, very focused tasks? Are you more of one of those people who takes prolonged periods of time, gets into those flow states, those deep work states? I'm curious. I'm just curious, about everybody. So anyway, in the combine part here, you just think about what you can combine. And again, let me know what you're working on, and we can talk about it. So A in the Scamper method is adapt. A stands for adapt. So, For instance, here's something that people always struggle with too, right? You say, "Oh, I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm trying to eat healthy, but like this is too tempting and that's too tempting." And so, one of the things that is a really good method in the adapt category here, if you're trying to eat healthy and you find it very, very challenging, one of the greatest hacks you can use is it's a very standard, very mainstream thing that, for instance, most nutritionists recommend. It's a five. I think it's called the 5x5 method for let's say nutrition, or if you're trying to eat healthier and you're trying to make it a habit. So pick 5 foods. The idea is pick 5 foods that you enjoy, right? Pick 5 foods that you enjoy, you really, really love, and you're not going to give them up, right? Because people don't want to give up stuff they love, right? So that's why eating healthy is hard. It can seem hard. So pick 5 foods you're not going to give up, and think about little ways you can change the food to make it just slightly healthier. So for instance, one basic example is, let's say, so this says adapt the recipe by using similar ingredients you have at home, such as swapping out one type of vegetable for another. So that's one idea. But another idea, like for example, is if you love burritos, you love burritos. So I love burritos. I really love burritos. Yeah. Yeah. Food. Right. So for instance, this Nikhil, this example is if you're trying to eat healthy. So if you're trying to eat healthy, just adapt something in the food instead of completely changing it to get started, right? To get started. So sorry, if you love burritos, change out the whole wheat, change out the flour, the wheat flour wrap for a whole wheat wrap, right? Samosa. Okay, samosa and pasta. So samosa maybe is, if you're cooking them at home, it might be harder. But like for instance, there are things that can go in samosas, right? So for instance, in samosas, I forget what the classic ingredients are, but like you might be able to put some more vegetables if they're homemade. Like put more vegetables in the samosa, or just one different vegetable in the samosa. Pasta, it really depends. People say like, "Oh, carbs are not healthy." Really, it really is relative. Is pasta unhealthy? Actually, it's funny. People say pasta for the pasta. Here's what you would want to do for adapt. Quite honestly, nothing wrong with pasta. Quite honestly, like just for pasta, just decrease the portion. That's all. If you love pasta, just eat it, but eat less of it. That's it, right? That would be the hack there, right? The adapt part. You don't necessarily have to swap out an ingredient. You just have to eat a little bit less, like smaller portion size. Again, depends on your goals. Like Nikhil, if you're, I'm not a fitness expert. We're just using this as an example, but I know a thing or two about nutrition. I was in the nutrition industry for years. That's what my sales business was focused on. But yeah, potato. So I mean, if it's possible, I mean, again, if it's homemade, if it's possible to have like a whole wheat version of it, or put for instance potato and you're talking about Indian food, like the what is it, the aloo gobi is like the right is like the cauliflower and potato, something like that. So maybe put like the cauliflower in the in there, a little bit of cauliflower or something like that, so you have like a aloo gobi samosa, something like that. I don't know if that's a thing, but as an example. But these are just ways, like think about how you can adapt the food, for instance. So modify, problem solving, right? We're talking about problem solving. If you're just joining us, yes, I love Indian food. I love Indian food. Let me just talk about that for a moment. I love all types of food. I love all types of cuisines, but I love Indian food. Of course, in the States, I'm in the US, so the Indian food we get here, I'm not sure how authentic it is, but I mean, I live in Queens, which is in New York City, which is like the whole world is here, So we've got like Indian people, we've got Chinese people, we've got everybody. So there are all these local cuisines. So the Indian food that I eat, when I do eat Indian food, is like from a place where it's like Indian people making the food. So I would assume that maybe it's more authentic. So yeah, I love Indian food though. I love spicy food. Give me spicy food. The spicier the better. Seriously, love it. So, and I think every cuisine. So I know I'm stuck on this for a little bit, but every cuisine can be healthy though. Like pretty much every cuisine can be healthy. It's just we have to adapt it a little bit, right? So modify. How's this different from adapt? So adapt is changing one thing about something that's already existing, right? Like the food. But modify is a little different. So M is modify. So can we actually change something about the whole thing itself, like the morning routine? Change it completely, right? So your morning routine is not as energizing as you'd like. This is one example. Again, tell me your problems. Tell me your problems, because we're talking about problem solving here. Like we're talking about the scamper method, right? And if you didn't, see S through C through A, catch the replay on YouTube live stream. But anyway, we'll keep going. Let me know your problems. Let me know your problems you're working on, whether that's academic or personal. We'll work through them with this method. But M, for example, is your morning routine is not energizing as you'd like. So let's say you wake up every morning and you're feeling sleepy and fatigued, and you whatever. That's a problem. And you just don't know what to do. Maybe you're like drinking coffee. I drink coffee, and I love coffee, so don't get me wrong. But maybe drinking excessive coffee, too much coffee in the morning to get yourself started, right? It's just a vicious cycle. So maybe you don't know, right? You have to experiment once again, but you don't know. And this is where something called divergent thinking comes in. You can't just think of one solution. When you're thinking of a solution to a problem, you have to think of like 10, maybe not 10, but you have to think of like at least 5 to 10, right? And try them out. Like, don't give up after you've tried a few. Yeah, good. I mean, morning affirmation. And how does that work for you, Nikhil? Like, is a more morning affirmations, do you find them helpful to get you focused, to get you energized? Or do you not really see any difference since you started? I'll wait for your response, but I'll go on until I see your response. But yes, Hare, yes, I am. So I promise, I have it in my calendar. I am on it, and don't worry. So because Hare, what I want to do is for that book recommendation that you're talking about, we're not on books right now, but for the book recommendations, I've read probably thousands of books and articles, all right, combined. I've read a lot. And so to pick 50, it takes me a good amount of time to be thoughtful about it. So yeah, like Hare, so for instance, I could just list 50 books and I could do that now, but it wouldn't be helpful to you, because if I did it just like quickly, because with no thought. So I want to really give it enough thought and then list my 50 top books, but I have it in my calendar to get to. I promise. So you're good. Energy and motivation. So it does give you energy and motivation. Good, right? So for instance, here's another example. If you modify your morning routine by adding maybe morning exercise. So again, exercise, like, honestly, guys, I just want to talk about this. Exercise solves so many problems. People sometimes they're talking about like, oh, I'm so stressed, I'm so anxious, or I can't focus, or I have no energy, or I need more motivation, or I need whatever, and they're like missing the they're missing the fundamental, The foundation, honestly, one of the big foundations is exercise. You will solve so many problems even in your life just by exercising. So 15 minutes, and we're not talking about crazy, like I do 2 hours in the gym now, and it's changed my life. It has totally changed my life. But you don't have to do 2 hours. You can do 15 minutes. Like I started with 15 minutes. I literally started with 15 minutes. It will change your life, guys. So morning exercise, mindfulness practice, meditation, or like Nikhil does, like affirmations. You might even just start, if you're having trouble starting with exercise, do some stretches in the morning. It makes a difference. You might think, oh, what difference could just some stretching do? No, stretches in the morning, just even stretching will be very influential. So you said no issue, take your time. Yes, I have I'm a little crazy. Okay, I'm a little crazy in the sense that I've read like thousands of books, and I am not lying. I because so the reason is because the reason I've read thousands of books wasn't necessarily because it's at least 2,000 books, and without exaggeration, because I've had several projects in the past, like a honors thesis, and I wrote a book, a peer-reviewed book, so I had to read tons of books for that, articles, whatever. And I've had various projects. So anyway, oh yeah, and also when I was building, businesses in the past, I've read tons of self-help books and business books, and like, so it's a lot. So beyond academic books. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words. Lots of love back to you as well. And okay, any book on how to understand economics works, and learning about finance? Any book? Read The Psychology of Money. Off the bat, Hare, read The Psychology of Money. I forget who the author is. If anybody knows the author off the bat, let me know. But The Psychology of Money, it's a great book. I'm actually going to talk about that book in an upcoming video. So stay tuned. Stay tuned, because I'm gonna cover that book. But that's a great one to get started. Economics. You might want to start with a textbook on that, honestly. Not so there are good, look for books on macroeconomics and microeconomics. Those are good. Just most textbooks are pretty good for macroeconomics and microeconomics. You will find some great information in those. You might want to read, for instance, anything by John Maynard Keynes, or, so people know I'm not biased, because this is mainstream philosophy. Yeah, Morgan Housel. Yeah. So John Maynard Keynes, read anything by John Maynard Keynes. This is classics in economics, economic thought. And anything I'm putting it in the chat, and anything from the Austrian School of Economics, right? This is great, because these are two completely opposed schools of thought when it comes to economics. So it's good to read one side of economic thought, and then another side of economic thought, and make your own decision, right? That's what critical thinking is. You think about, okay, what really makes sense? What is there evidence for? What do I think is the most valid? And you can read both of them and then make your own decision, right? So that's what it's about, right? So let's get back to problem solving. So P is, you bet, Hare. So P, and again, for those of us just joining us, we're talking about problem solving, how to solve any problem in your life, whether that's an academic problem you're working on or a personal problem in your life. So P stands for, in the Scamper method, P stands for put to another use. So what resources do you have in your life right now that you're using that you could put to another use? What part of your process? And once again, any routine, any daily routine, morning routine, whatever, life is a process. So what in your process can you put to another use? So for instance, simple example would be you have leftovers. You don't want them to go bad, right? How can you put them together to make another meal out of them? I mean, that's a very, very simple example. But for instance, do you have like a room in your house, right? An example just would be if you have a spare room in your house, can you rent it out? Like these are examples of put to another use to solve problems. So again, give me some examples of your own problems if you want, and we'll work through how you can use some of these methods for solving your own problems, right? So that's one example. So, and then eliminate. Okay. So I'm actually going to be talking about this. Stay tuned, guys, because I'm actually going to be, I have a video coming up soon about Elon Musk's, like analyzing and breaking down Elon Musk's productivity habits, right? And whatever you think of him, right? Because he's, I know right now, like especially right now, he's very controversial and everything, but try to set aside people's like personal and political views or whatever if you disagree, and just look at the their what they're doing, right, on a business side or a productivity side, and we could separate those two based on whatever your opinion is, right? So I'm going to be breaking this down, and Elon Musk uses this a lot for problem solving. I'll answer your question in a moment, Hare. I will. That's a good question. So so Elon Musk likes to eliminate a lot of things. Delete. He deletes. He makes a big has a big focus on deleting. And a lot of people in business, and if you're in business or you're running a business or you have your routine, this is a great one for me. Even like nowadays, I really have to think, and I have to set aside some more time to go through my calendar and think, what is not necessary in my calendar? Like what can I actually just get rid of that isn't really producing results? And we all have something like that, right? So this is important. Really go through our calendar and say, okay, what is not really giving me results in what I want? Now, yeah, Hare, how do I retain so much and feel, you know what? Okay, how do you really retain information? I'm going to break it. I'm going to like make it really simple. How do you retain? This is a great question. How do you retain books? Oops, I didn't mean to do that. How do you retain books? How do you retain things that you learn? Simple. Oh, yeah. Hey, novel, I think, is that how you say it? But, oh, now I'm getting it. Okay, now I get your username. I'll still call you Novel though, right? Anyway, but welcome. Thanks. Nice to see you as well. So how do you retain it? I'll make it really simple. Is you have to use it. You have to use the information. If you don't use it, it's like if you don't use it, you lose it. So I'm always trying to get into conversations with people about various topics that I've learned, right? Yeah, reading systematically in sequence, and yeah, breaking it into small parts. Yeah, for sure. Breaking it down into small parts, that's really important, for sure. But retaining the information is all about synthesizing it. And when we have conversations with people about what we're learning, and we even we teach what we learn. You've probably heard this a lot, teaching what you learn. But having a conversation with a friend about like, oh, here's this economic concept, or here's this business concept that I learned, or here's this idea that I learned. What do you think of it? And actually discussing it, that's how you internalize the information and you start to own that information. It becomes more than simply a fact. It becomes something that you have synthesized. You've actually added additional insights and information onto what you've learned, and then it's more likely to store in your long-term memory. And that's what real learning is. It's not facts. It's not just facts. Here's a fact and memorize it, right? So hopefully that answers the question. Yeah. So yes. it goes into long-term memory. When we contract what we have learned with reality. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Yes, it starts to put it into long-term memory, and that's the goal: is put the knowledge into long-term memory. That's how you tend to not forget it, right? So rearrange, and that's the whole problem, honestly, with how the school system works traditionally, because it just makes you memorize facts for a grade. Once you've got the grade, you just let it go and you're done with it, right? That's the problem. So rearrange. R in the Scamper method, we're talking about problem solving. I know we got on a tangent about learning, but it was a great question. Great question. Everything is learning, in my opinion. Everything. Life is about learning. If you're not learning, right? If you're not learning, what are you doing? All right, you got to keep learning in life. Anyway, R is rearrange, the Scamper method. So rearrange. Okay. So sometimes we're doing, as an example, sometimes we're doing a process, or let's say in our day or in our job. All right. If you want to be more effective at your job or your business that you're running, whatever that is, or you're let's say you're a student and you're working on a project or something like that, and you have a process you're going through to do that. Maybe you go to study group first in the day, and then you do personal study, whatever. Is the order that you're doing things absolutely necessary, right? Or if you simply rearrange the order in which you're doing things, could that actually be more effective and solve the problem? And a lot of times that is the key, is simply rearranging the order in which you're doing things. So if you guys, a lot of you guys are just joining us, feel free, if you're watching this on the replay or you're watching this and you just joined right toward the end here, guys, drop your the problem that you're working on in the comments or in the chat, and I'll help you use this method. I promise I'll get to your comment and I'll respond to you, and I'll help you work through the problem you are having with this Scamper method, okay, that we're talking about. So it could even be rearranging. Doesn't have to be rearranging your time. It could be rearranging your furniture in your house if you feel disorganized, or rearranging your room. A lot of times that helps, right? So last but not least, I'll do a little bit of talking about here. I'll just closed by telling you guys about the Life Navigator system that we are having such success with currently. With this program that it just launched in the past few months, and people are already getting so many results, both personal growth wise and also money wise. People are actually making more money than they have before, a lot more in many cases than they have before with our program. So I'm going to drop the link for that in the chat so you can actually check that out if you would like. And just to run down what it is real quick is, one, we have 3 phases for this program. One is Telos Discovery, where we help you put together a customized personal development plan. It's personal to you based on a survey that you fill out, and we help you figure out a plan to actually hit your personal growth targets or whatever you're working on, those targets. And number 2 is a skill mastery system and skill mastery phase. Once you've really figured out and we've got your plan going and you figured out what your goal is, you probably have some gaps you have to fill in terms of learning certain skills. And we help you develop a customized curriculum and study plan to hit those targets, right? So customized curriculum, customized study plan for whatever skill you need to work on. And then phase 3 here is project completion, which means that we actually don't just give you the skills or the curriculum or plan, and whatever, weekly coaching as well, working personally with me. You're working personally with me, actually. But number 3 is project completion. I actually help connect you to connections, people, resources for whatever your next steps are on your journey, whatever you're working on, whether that's a business you want to launch, a nonprofit you want to work on, you want to be a leader in your community, you want to get better at your job, or you want to get a better job. That is all, it's all part of that. So, and then if you want to figure out whether this is right for you, you can book a 30-minute call. I actually, hold on, if you're interested in that, I will actually get the link up. I forgot to get the link before I went on here, but hold tight and I'll post the link for that. But I'll continue to chat about this. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So in the meantime, feel free, while I'm getting this link, feel free to drop your comments in the comments section of what you would like to, what you need help with in terms of your like a problem you're working on, and I will actually help you work through that with the scamper method in the comments. So yeah, if you want to book a call with me to just explore whether this might be the right fit for you, great. We'll actually, on that call, we'll actually put together a rough plan for you. And worst case, if you're not interested in joining the program, that's all good. Afterwards, you'll have a complete plan laid out for yourself. I'm happy to help regardless. So yeah, guys, I'm going to actually, if you missed all of the scamper method, if you missed the beginning letters of this acronym, of all this method, this problem solving method, then go back, watch the replay. All of you, I will have your, oh yeah, Harry, I want to answer this question real quick. Lots, even many books that aren't available in India. Yeah, so if some of the books aren't available in your country, and you guys on TikTok, you can check out my link in bio for that. The link in my bio for that. But if it's not in India, you can look for at least, well, PDFs. Watch out there, because I won't publicly endorse that, but do what you need to do. You can look for ebooks, maybe on Amazon, ebook version, or you can look for, because they don't maybe physically deliver it, you can look for the some audiobook versions, maybe on Audible, something like that. And it's something like 99 cents or something, or less for a book. So yeah, there are all sorts of solutions if you can't find the physical book. Not as ideal, but it, better than nothing. So all right, guys, I love being with you guys every Wednesday. I might have to change up the schedule next week. I might be doing this in my evening, just for next Wednesday, and then I may switch back to the normal time the following Wednesday. But I may have to do it in the evening next Wednesday. I will keep you guys posted. But thanks so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day and be amazing. Take care.